really delighted to be here with Jay Fields, one of my colleagues in the Awakened Heart, Embodied Mind teacher training. Hi, Jay.
Hey, Julian.
How's it going?
Good. This is such an odd thing to be sitting in our living rooms chatting with one another.
Yeah, I know. We tend to see each other intermittently for these wonderful bursts of creativity and connection and holding space for the teachers, for the trainees. And then there are long periods where mostly we're either on the phone or email or we don't talk for a while. So it's really cool to have a moment like this via the magic of Skype.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I was hoping we could have a little chat today about a topic that I know you're quite insightful on, and something that you and I talk about fairly often. That has to do with yoga teachers and the sometimes unrealistic expectations that newer teachers or aspiring teachers might have.
Yeah, it's interesting when folks are asking me about whether or not the teacher training is a good fit for them. Often they'll say, "I don't think I know enough about yoga,"
Mm.
or my practice isn't deep enough, or I'm not good enough at the postures or that sort of thing. And that's a concern in terms of starting to do a teacher training. But the other concern that comes up is something to the effect of, uh, for lack of a more couth way to say it, like, I don't have my shit together enough to do
Ah,
this.
how uncouth
you
of
know?
you.
Um, that there's this idea that if I'm going to be a yoga teacher, I have to be more evolved than I am, or people will expect that I have more wisdom to impart than I do. And that feels like, especially in conjunction with what if I can't do the poses? And what if I also don't have, this incredible calm demeanor that can impart wisdom, then what the heck am I doing? Who am I to teach yoga?
Yeah, yeah. So it's sort of the perennial issue that I think shows up for a lot of people in different areas, right? That until I have reached some sort of perfect place in myself, I'm not going to jump into doing anything where I might feel inadequate, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I know for me, it kind of had, there was a, it was the flip side of it. When I went to
Mm.
do my teacher training, I was 21, I think, when I went to actually do the teacher training, and I was not in a good place in my life. And, clearly wasn't self-regulated, clearly didn't know how to take care of myself, my needs. And I had the belief that if I became a yoga teacher and I went through the training,
Ah.
then I would get all those things. you know, I was like, I know I don't have any of these things right now. Yoga teacher, then
Ah.
all of those gifts will just suddenly be bestowed upon me, and I will be able to, like, oh my God, just I'm so ashamed, like, bringing it up now that that's how I went into that, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
become the golden child once I do my teacher training.
Uh, I will be anointed. Yeah,
Totally.
it's very interesting, right? Because I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of. I think this is a very common sort of dynamic that you're describing, and it's like the same thing from two different angles, right? And the thing that it might be is this idealizing kind of aura that we put around the notion of being a teacher, right? And whether that
Right.
has to do with teachers that we've had that we projected that they were somehow really really special and perfect and enlightened and beyond human vulnerability and imperfection, um, or it's just that we have a sort of fantasy for ourselves that we can get to that point. Either way, it can result. It's like perfectionism on both ends can result in, on the one hand, feeling really inadequate, like I could never be that. I'm too messed up as a human being to ever step into that role that I've elevated in such an unrealistic way. Or on the other side, the fantasy that, well, I'm not there now, but if I go through this teacher training process and I become a teacher, well, then I'll be really amazing. I'll be anointed as the golden child. So I think in a way we can have a kind of generous, friendly compassion towards that aspect of what it is to be human, that we have that psychological tendency, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because ultimately, as you said, it's the theme, it's the flip side of the same theme, which is just insecure that we won't be enough.
Yeah.
To show up as we are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so perhaps this is where you're going, but the sort of insight that then brings up for me is that for our students, if we're going to be of benefit to our students, part of what we're holding for them is that they're enough in all the ways that they may feel inadequate, that they're qualified. I say this in my classes sometimes, you're already perfectly qualified to be part of this informal lineage of human beings who for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years have sought healing and grounding and clarity of mind and integration and being at home in their own bodies. Like, you're already qualified as a human being to embark on that journey. It doesn't require any special beliefs. It doesn't require any, superior qualities. It doesn't require that you be perfect in any particular way. You already are a human being who is worthy of setting foot on that path.
Yeah, it's really beautiful and really hard to take in.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the greatest challenges, to actually receive that as true and live that as true. And, so beautiful to be able to offer that to your students and to hold space like that. And I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of hearing that as a student, or, being able to say it as a teacher, how affirming that can be, and also how, like, okay, but how?
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that work? And I think, as someone who's been teaching a really long time and had to kind of look at what does this mean, so when I realized that I wasn't in fact the anointed one, and kind of tumbled back into just this is me, this is who I am, and here I am standing in front of all these people who can see me in just this, just what I have to offer. What ended up happening over years with great mentors and colleagues was being able to cultivate a capacity to have a presence with myself, so that my presence in my teaching was all I needed. I didn't need affirmation. I didn't need accolades. I didn't need, anyone to pat me on the head, or I just needed to feel that it was a space like any other space in which I could go into it and not abandon myself,
Yeah.
Not try and puff myself up, not try and hide. Just this is me, and this is as fully inhabited as I can be in myself.
Yes. Yes.